Hello, sir. Am I
Hi.
audible?
Yes, you're audible. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
So, sir, can we start?
Yes, please. But just before we start, can you give me a quick background of how many people are there? What is happening? How much time do we have? I know I'm about 30 minutes before later than what I had promised you because we had another event. So sorry for that. But if you could please tell me what it is like and how do you want to run this session, it will be great. And then we can get started.
Sure, sir. So now there are 87, 88 people, approx 90 people in the meet. And we can have your session. You can start with a session for about 40, 45 minutes. And then for last 15 minutes, we can have a Q&A session wherein the interested students can put their questions in the chat box and then we can answer as much as we can, if that works.
Yeah, that's cool. And the students, can you just give me a background? Everybody is doing data science. What kind of profile do you have? What kind of students? I
Uh,
make it interesting
yes,
for the
sir.
people who are there.
Yes, sir. So it's a mixed batch. So we have people doing PGDM core. We have people from big data analytics as well, from healthcare management and banking and financial services also. So it's a mixed batch. Mostly people are there from the first year, and people have joined from other colleges as well. So it's a mixed batch.
Okay, excellent. We can get started then.
Yeah, so I'll just give you a short introduction about you to the audience, and then we are good to go.
Cool, excellent.
Yeah. So, good morning, one and all. I hope you all are safe and healthy. Team Parigyan extends a very warm welcome to the students of GIM and people joining us from outside the institute as well. Following our legacy, we have again come up with a flagship event, COALESCE 2021, the annual Data Science Summit of Goa Institute of Management, powered by the Shaily Show. COALESCE 21 will be a two-day event being held on 27th and 28th of February. It allows all the colleges of India to participate in this data-driven affair where industry experts come together to impart knowledge pertaining to data science and business affairs. So let's get started. We are very honored to welcome our first guest speaker of our talk series, Mr. Varun Sridhar, CEO of Paytm Money, the biggest digital wealth management platform in India. Sir brings years of valuable experience of leading the digital transformation journey of some of the top retail banks in India and abroad. Prior to this, he served as the CEO of Finchel India, where he launched Realme Pay SA, a fintech platform on mobile. Before this role, he was with BNP Paribas for close to 8 years, where, amongst other assignments, he supported the acquisition of Sher Khan. He has been associated with various other brands, including Citibank and Deutsche Bank as well. We welcome you, sir. The stage is all yours.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Pleasure, happy to be here. As we do this session, I want you to for the next, I think 1 hour, forget that I'm a CEO, forget that I manage a company and all of that, because I think it's very important. Sometimes in life, way back, uh, and I'll tell you my story. In my life journey of 20 odd years of work, you meet two, three people in your life, and 5 minutes can change everything. But what mostly ends up happening is when you meet somebody who's a bit, I would say, ahead of you, slash bigger than you, slash older than you, slash a bit more successful than you, as ever you want to call it, right? And there's always somebody ahead of everybody in life, right? The world is round. The world is not a square or a straight line, right? And therefore, what ends up happening is more often than not, you're overawed by that, and you forget to get the main point, right? So for the next, I think 1 hour, 45 minutes, forget that you're talking to a CEO. Imagine you're talking to a normal person who's there sharing his or her life with you in a very open way. And then from that, my request, I often do these sessions, and I'll tell you why I do it. But at the end of that session, if you say, hey, look, I'll be honestly very happy if one of you manages to implement one thing, right? And 10 years later, somewhere, somehow, you catch me and you say, hey, Varun, look, or you write a message on LinkedIn or Twitter if this still exists, saying, 10 years back, I had this session with Jim and it worked well and it was cool. And it worked out and, I've implemented part of it and I feel happy, right? So that's going to be if you can start thinking like that, I think the next 1 hour will be useful. Otherwise, on a Saturday morning, you should be running or playing sports or, if you're actually in Goa on the beach, right? So So let's get started. I'm going to give you an introduction of myself for the first 30 minutes. I think it's useful. You're young, you're coming out of a crisis. I was young like you once upon a time, coming out of a crisis. I'm 40 now. And my life, I think, has gone through a lot of ups and downs. And to reach where you are, it takes a lot of sweat, effort, tears. So I'm going to walk you through that. And towards the last 10 minutes, maybe we'll do a bit of fintech stuff so that you can get a feeling of what is Paytm, what is Paytm Money. And then if you have questions, happy to answer. Okay, so we'll try and do that. It's 10:50. So I'm going to try and do a personal monologue till about 11:20, 11:20 to 11:30. We do a bit of fintech and then over to questions. And then if you need something after that, I'm going to drop my WhatsApp number to all of you. So you will have it. And then you can contact me privately on LinkedIn or Twitter, right, or WhatsApp as you feel comfortable. Okay, so let's get started. So like I said, I'm 40 and I lead this company called Paytm Money. But let's rewind back to 1998 when I was a bit younger and life was much more fun, honestly. Right, and it was better. You were more carefree. I used to study in Gurgaon, so I'm a TAM brought up in Gurgaon. My father were teachers, so I was brought up in a school called MDI Gurgaon, and my mom is a principal of a school. So my father was one of the first professors of MDI. He founded that school. So some of you were aspiring to be an MBA. I actually grew up in a business school. So my uncle and aunts, my chai, coffee. As a kid, my running around used to be around books, right? So in my home was written MDI's B school curriculum. So often the discussions, I think when I was 6 or 7, I used to hear corporate finance, mergers, acquisitions. So maybe it all came into my head naturally. And so I used to find a B school often useless. I used to find all my colleges in school useless, right? And I still believe that's the right thing. I think the biggest mistake we do is put fees in colleges. Okay, I hope the dean is not listening. But if you are, that's at least my personal opinion. But as I studied and as I went along with the whole with my college and I entered Bhagat Singh, so I was like any other Indian family, everybody wants you to be an engineer, doctor, chartered accountant. Char panch cheezein hain common. They'll push you into it and you have to do it, right? And then all your friends are also doing it, so you say, "Acha, main bhi kar leta." Right? And you end up doing it. And these days, data science has become one of them, right? So at least our parents start to understand there's something called a data analyst, right? Earlier, 20 years back, if you told somebody I'm a data scientist, they would be like, "Beta, tum kya bech rahe ho?" Right? And so at least that has changed over the last 20 odd years in the school, right? But if I go back 98, my parents wanted me to be a chartered accountant. So I ended up, trying to be a chartered accountant. I gave my foundation exam, got a very nice rank. I was doing very well. And 1 week after doing about 2 years of internship, 1 week before my exams, I actually quit my chartered accountancy and I decided to become a politician. Okay, so I contested elections in the last year in Delhi University. If some of you are from Delhi University, elections in DU are not easy. Delhi is not easy anyway. Gurgaon is further not easy. But on top of Delhi, Gurgaon, you combine elections and you combine Delhi University, it's a lot of fun, right? I don't know if you've seen this recent series on Amazon Prime. It's called Tandav, right? And there's a lot of action happening, but the university was like that 20 years back. Life is, so it's great fun. I decided to give up my CA. I came home to tell my dad, I'm not doing CA. I'm becoming president of a college. I'm joining either Congress or BJP. And I got the biggest slap of my life. वही होता है घर में एकदम से पड़ा. I was very thin and short. So I got a nice stick from my father and mother. Said, "Dude, what nonsense is this?" I explained my point of view. They said, "We don't agree," like all Indian parents do. And then I said, no, but I think I took the first decision of my life. I never did my CA after that, right? Personally, nothing against CAs, nothing against chartered accountants. I just felt it's not for me, right? And so I did not do my CA. It was the first big decision I took in my life. I ended up contesting elections. I won. So I became the president of my college. And 1 year of great fun. Then I was contesting for DUSU elections, but I never did. I never had the courage and the money, right? I come from a very, very poor family. So for me, cash was important. Elections in India, even back then, needed 1 crore of rupees, right? So imagine as a 20-year-old finding 1 crore of rupees somewhere from parents who would not even give you $100. So the last pocket money I got was when I was 17, right? Uske baad I've never taken anything from anybody, right? And whatever you do, you build yourself. So there I was, great. Elections taught me one thing, that being a leader is great fun, right? I could realize that I could speak. I didn't know that I could stand up in front of 5,000 people and speak. I didn't realize that people would follow what you do. So some of the skills got picked up. But by the time I also realized that taking great decisions in your life helps you. So then I became a counter to what everybody would do. Very early in my life, I realized that Indians run a rat race, right? All of you run very hard, work for a day zero placement. You all want the same thing and everybody wants the same thing. Everybody wants to be an engineer, MBA, join a certain 20 companies. And so your life is revolving around that. Whereas what I realized is doing something different makes life better. Right. So if everybody's going in one path, the other path is a bit easier, bit more risky, obviously, but obviously it makes much more sense. The risk return ratio is better. So here I was at 21, and I was one day in Gurgaon, and I got very bored, and I called my sister. I was working in a small startup then, back in 2001. Okay, in 2001, startups are not the way it is today. Back in 2001, I was working as an accountant in a small startup, and I called my sister one day and I told her, I said, hey, look, I want to run away from Gurgaon, and she was like, what did you do wrong? Right? कुछ तो तूने गड़बड़ किया होएगा. You must have done something. Who have you hurt? What have you done? Tell me. I said, no, I've not done anything. I'm just fed up of my family, my friends, everybody around. I'm just tired. Why the hell am I in Gurgaon all the time? I want to explore the world. I want to travel. So can you find me a job? So she found me my first banking job all the way in Cochin, as a sales officer. Right. So I was a sales officer for Citibank, and I used to wear a blue colored jacket and run around on my bike, selling personal loans, credit cards, jo bhi, anything to make money and do a sales job. So next time, on Truecaller, somebody calls you or you meet a sales guy and you block him or you look down upon him or her, remember 20 years from today, he could be lecturing you about life. Okay, so, think about it. Okay, so treat people properly because you don't know who comes up, which corner, when and how, right? So I ended up being in sales, and everybody hated it because all my friends by then were already in top schools like you. They were in great places because that's what happens in India, right? Graduation khatam karo, कुछ और experience मत लो जाके काम करना चालू कर दो, right? You immediately don't work, but you go to an MBA, right? Or you go immediately do your master's course. Right? All my friends were doing it. They were in top schools, and they're like, Varun, you are the brightest kid. What happened to you? You lost your way. You became president, and after that, I think you've completely lost. You're doing sales in Cochin, right? All my friends were doing fancy jobs. They were already graduating. In 2 years' time, when they graduated, I was actually doing a sales job, standing outside ATM 16 hours a day, right? And I did that for about 3 years. And then I internally in Citi, one of the things I started to do, and why do I tell you all this? I think it's important to pick up some messages, right? And as I was working as a sales officer, by 5 p.m., I was done with my job and I was top 5% of salespeople across India from a very small town like Cochin, which if you imagine the Bombay guy, Delhi guy, Bangalore, Hyderabad, all those big cities had a better chance to sell purely because the consumer power was there, right? But I was in Cochin, but I was doing very well because I was simply crazy. Right. So I'm a workaholic, a proud one. So I work a lot. And because of that, I was able to beat everybody else in major cities. So I got a bunch of transfers, and every day at 6 p.m. I used to go to my boss and say, boss, kaam khatam ho gaya, I need more work. And he was like, dude, you're in Cochin, lovely city, look outside, nice rivers, great plants. By the way, anybody from Kerala, I really love the place, right? So I love Kerala and Goa. These are fantastic states of India, very green, very nice. And so you say, what the hell are you doing? Go have a beer, find a friend, go play some sports. But at 6 o'clock, you're top of the charts across India. Why would you come back to the office? And he never gave me work. So I went to another boss and got work from him on risk management. So in the evening, I used to work. And the other guy said, why would you come to me? Right? I'm not going to pay you salary. I can't do your appraisal. I can't get you even a recognition. I can't even tell anybody that you're working. I said, doesn't matter. I said, I'll learn something. So I used to keep doing that. And then in 3 years' time, something very nice happened to me. I got this job offer in Deutsche Bank. And, my boss moved. And so I went with him. And I remember during the interview, he asked me, what do you want? I said, I want a car. He said, dude, I'm a bank. I don't give cars. So why do you want a car? I said, no, I've started dating somebody. And, I think it's nicer. Bangalore mein bahut barish varish hota hai. By then I'd moved to Bangalore, by the way. I said, barish hota hai, garmi hota hai. It's nice if you're dating somebody or young. It's better in a car than in a bike. It's simple math. So he said, yeah, dude, look, I don't give cars. I can give you money. You go buy your car. So I said, okay, done. Also sounds good because I've never done a salary negotiation in my life. This is the first time I did it. So I joined Deutsche Bank. Happened to be a great decision in my life. I worked for 2 years there. I think that it's fantastic because it was a startup. So I was employee number 4 of launching retail operations across India. So the retail bank. And what was very nice was fantastic. I thought personally for me, what was very cool was you learn how to serve tea and coffee to 20 people. You come to office in the morning, you don't know how the day is going to look like. You learn to sleep on the conference room table. Like, have you ever slept on a conference room table? It's an art, okay, because you can't fall off, right? And you have to continue working. I think in those 2 years, we never had a weekend. In the morning, I would think I'm doing product. By afternoon, I would do data analytics. By evening, I would do risk management. Then my boss would call me and say, make a presentation. I would do finance, business plans. It's just crazy, right? You don't know what you're doing. But what I learned beautifully in those 2 years is a second skill of mine, which I realized that I was good at doing 0 to 1. If somebody gave me a challenging problem, which had nothing to it, like somebody would come and tell me, hey, Varun, what kind of IT system do we want? I have no clue what's an IT FSD, right? The day my boss said, Varun, make me an IT FSD. I said, हाँ boss बना देता हूँ. And then I went back to IT guy. Okay, and the only IT guy I knew was who could fix the computer. So I went and asked him. I said, dude, what is IT FSD? He said, I know IT, I don't know FSD. You go ask. Maybe your boss wants you to do something in development. So I said, okay, let me go talk to a coder, right? And I didn't know what a coder is back then. So I went and got this guy, and nobody talks to anybody in a good way, right? Everything is competitive in India in any case. So I told him, I said, yeah, okay, I'll buy you tea, coffee, explain to me what is FSD. So the guy, I found if you ask 5 people, somebody happens to be a friend and somebody helps you out. So I got help. And then I started realizing like that you could learn 20 different things, right? So I did that excellent job for 2 odd years. Fantastic thing. I left on the last day with a very important incident. It's the second time in my life I took a decision, and I think it's important for you. So I was doing very well. I was national head of sales by then for Deutsche Bank across India. Back then in 2006, I think I was earning an important amount of money, which even today most top B school graduates start getting, right? So if you add inflation, you guys are hopefully analytically smart, right? You can do your maths at 8% compounded inflation. I had a fair amount of salary, what even today with 10 years experience you don't get. And then what happened is there's this job in China. I was super keen because by then I was very impressed with the Oriental culture and I wanted to get off to China. And I said, I have to travel. By then, by the way, I'd started traveling, right? So I've traveled to about 50 plus countries in my life, worked in 11, and done a bunch of crazy stuff, right? So, and we'll talk about that as we go. But so I was here in this very nice place for an interview for the Chinese job. So exactly what we did in India, we had to do in China. Same. So I was sure I was the best guy because in Deutsche Bank, everybody said, Varun, you're top 3 employees. So I was very happy I did the interviews. On the last day, I didn't get the job. The CEO of the bank called and said, hey, Varun, we have decided to give your colleague the job. He's from IIM, one of the ABCs. Okay. And we can't give it to you because you're not an MBA. You're from this college called Bhagat Singh, जो मैंने आज तक कभी सुना नहीं है. Some German guy talking to me like that, okay, big important CEO of the bank, and saying, but we love you a lot. So we've decided to sponsor your education for your MBA in Germany. We will move you there. You will have salary, plus we'll pay for your full fees, plus we'll pay for your accommodation and food. And you have a 5-year contract in Frankfurt. We really love you. Right. So that happened to me. Everybody would have been super happy. Everybody would have given the CEO a hug. I was the most angry young man. Okay. I decided to resign in the next 30 seconds. I said, sir, I'm resigning. He said, what? I said, I'm resigning because I went back on my table, typed my resignation and sent it. And my only answer to everybody was, Varun, you're the most foolish person because this is a dream, right? Everybody works hard to go abroad in India and everybody works hard to get everything paid by somebody else in India. You've got it, it's in your hand, but you're refusing it. Why? Right? And it was the second important decision I took in my life that I told that CEO that day. I said, sir, you value me for a rubber stamp. Some IIM. I hated IIMs from that day. I think, and I had been brought up in MDI, right? So you imagine, my all my uncles and aunts are today deans of all the top schools in India and abroad, right? That's how I know them. But it was strange for me back then to say, sir, you don't value me for who I am. You value me for who you want me to become. Right? Very, very important message I realized in my life. And I said, sorry, doesn't work for me. And I quit. In a week's time, I gave my GMAT. Everybody told me it's the most foolish decision of your life. I said, होएगा क्या होएगा worst case situation. I said, the German guy is anyway waiting. एक साल बाद जाके sorry बोल दूंगा, रो लूंगा थोड़ा सा, क्या होएगा, right? That's the worst thing that can happen. Right? The bugger is going to wait in any case. But I was so pissed off. So I said, I have to do my MBA because there is a stamp that without that stamp you can't succeed in life. So I said, okay, doesn't matter. Let me do it. So I did give my GMAT. I got a very poor score on GMAT. I got a 620. Okay, so whenever I used to apply, people used to ask me, are you Indian? I was like, dude, yes, I'm very, very Indian. They say, in India, nobody scores less than 720, 740. Okay, आप जैसे खूब सारे पढ़ाकू बच्चे हैं, everybody studies all day long. And I said, dude, I just studied a week. And I gave it. This was the circumstance. He said, no, Varun, impossible. You are obviously a dumb kid. I said, maybe. But I said, why don't you put me in touch with, the best IIT, IIM 740, 750, and let me have a debate on work and let's see who's better. Right? So I did a bunch of interviews. I eventually got admission in 4 colleges. I got NUS Singapore. I got one in Oxford. I almost had one in the States. And then I finally got Bocconi in Italy. I was very sure, by the way, I wanted to leave India because the whole Chinese bug had got to me. And so I left eventually to Bocconi. At that time, Bocconi was an underdog. Today, it's ranked top 30 schools in the world. I studied in Italy for my MBA. At that time, it was not even in the top 150. Okay. But why did I choose Bocconi then when I had NUS Singapore waiting, when I had something like Oxford with a big name waiting? One of the biggest reasons I did it was because of a cup of coffee and a chocolate croissant. Okay, so in Delhi there are these stalls जहाँ पे अलग-अलग लोग अपना stall लगाते हैं, सब parents आते हैं, MBA मेला type, right? So you go there. Back then that's how it used to happen. Digital was not so big in 2008. So I went there and the Italian stall was the prettiest. And there was this very nice lady. She must have been maybe 50, 55. I don't know, even older. And she was beautifully dressed and the whole stall was clean. And she served me the single best coffee and chocolate croissant I'd had in my life in the very artistic way. And I was sure this is the school I want, right? I said, leave everything else. And then, she asked me, interviewed me. I knew I would make it through the interviews, right? So anyone who wanted to interview me, I was sure of myself. But I would not get interview calls because of a very poor score, right? So I got interviewed, and this lady interviewed me. She said, "Do you have any questions?" I said, "Ma'am, yeah, are there a lot of Indian people there?" She said, "No, can't you see all the Indian families are in the other places like Singapore, American counter, London counter, Sare." I said, "Ma'am, exactly. That's why I'm here, because nobody else is there." So she started laughing, right? She said, "You're the first kid I see without your parents, without a brother, nobody. So how do you plan to finance?" I said, "I don't know. I'll figure it out." Right? She said, "Okay, do you have any questions for me?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Back in Italy, are there a lot of Indian people?" She said, "No, no, language is different. It's cold. And Italy doesn't appeal as an education destination to Indians." I said, "Ma'am, I'm done. I'm in with you." Right? She said, "But with your score, I can't give you a scholarship. You're very poorly ranked." I said, "No problem. Doesn't matter. I'll figure it out." Right? And so I got my admission letter, and life started. And, it turns out to be one of the best decisions I took in my life. Message for you guys: sometimes when everything seems right, it's not. Right? Stand for who you are, right? And the world has changed, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But important, by then I was 27, 28. First day of my B school, I wanted to be an investment banker, right? And 2008, I hope all of you know, financial crisis happened. First day of my business school, Lehman Brothers collapsed. Okay, so here was a finance student. So by the way, I've done finance all my life. Right? I think you know that, right? That's not a big guess. Right, I bought my first stock when I was 16. My father is a professor of finance. I guess it runs in the veins. I don't know, right? But I'm a finance guy through and through. So here I was, first day wanting to be an investment hotshot banker, and top recruiter for Bocconi was Lehman Brothers and Goldman Sachs, right? And guess what happens? Lehman Brothers collapses on the first day of your commencement. So you're getting your commencement, your dean is giving a speech, but this was the first time the commencement was not a speech. He came in and his first statement was, "Look, it's the worst day to start a B school program. If all the foreigners want, you can go back." So if you're a foreigner, if you're a guy, if you're an Indian / a Chinese / a Latin American, because these are the three people who are there a lot. We had 60 nationalities and 110 students. So he named out the countries which are non-European, non-American, and said, essentially, if you want to cancel your MBA, we will pay back all your fees. And this is not cheap fees. Okay, back then it was so expensive. We will also pay for your tickets to go back and give you a compensation. Because honestly, instead of taking you in and making you struggle through the worst economic crisis, I would prefer not to, because he had spoken to the CEO of all these financial companies, and they all told him no way recruitment for the next 2 years. Okay, so they said all these kids, and by then the Europeans had become very strict on immigration visa. So they said no visa because the crisis had set in, right? So there was no visa, no job. And obviously people who got scared took the money back, okay, and they got some nice bonus and they went back. I decided to stay, as you know. Okay, and turns out that I used to apply for 70 jobs a day. Okay, sometimes 60, sometimes 100. And that time there was no LinkedIn. So you can't add Varun Sridhar on LinkedIn, ek button daba diya, copy paste karke bhej diya, kaam ho gaya. That time you have to find an email address. Okay, so I had to go door to door in Italy, knock, wait with security guards. They speak a different language, get the email ID, find the number, call. It's hard work, right? As a student, and in Bocconi, they used to make you work 18 hours a day, right? So we have a very, very intense program, fantastic place to be. And I still love partying, right? So at the end of every Friday to Monday morning, we would party like hard and get drunk, right? So that was our job, right? Other than doing all the case studies and everything else that you do. But turns out that I got my first internship for free in Dubai. And I want to talk about it because as we go along, the second thing you'll notice in my career is crisis. I think every single crisis from 2008 I've been in, and I've been at the thick and thin of it. I've suffered with it, but what I've realized is with every crisis comes the greatest opportunity. So if there's one message I want you to take from me from today, I'll drop you 5, 6 messages. But the most important message is look forward to a crisis. Look forward to a day when the world comes to a grinding halt. It's not nice to have a crisis, but if it comes, be the super happiest person. Like go out on the street and say, "Aaj main bahut khush hu," right? That kind of happiness, right? I don't know if you watch Hindi movies. I started to do, but go out and be this craziest guy, because the day a crisis comes is the day opportunity will come, right? So, but I'll explain to you how it happened. So here I was, no jobs, no chance of getting a job. We were very disparate. I was doing well in class, obviously, but then I needed an internship. Nobody was giving me an internship. And back in Bakoni, you would do 15 interviews to Goldman Sachs, to Credit Suisse, to all the top banks, but nobody would hire you. So eventually I got hired almost into this company called Value Partners. It's a McKinsey spin-off, a great consulting company, boutique shop. And they almost took me. But at the end of almost taking me, they said, Varun, no visa. Sorry, the government has declined. So I said, no problem. Send me to Dubai for a free internship and I'll start myself. Right? They said, why would you do a free internship? We can't give you flight tickets. We can't pay you anything. I said, doesn't matter. I don't need flight tickets. I don't need hotel. I don't need nothing. I will go to Dubai, and it's an expensive place. As a student who's from a very poor family, all on loans, it's not easy, right? So I did all of that effort, and I said, at the end of 3 months, I have only one request. If I've done a good job, pay me something. Okay. They said, Varun, we don't know. I said, doesn't matter. I can't be at home. Let me go. Right. And I figured that I need to travel. I was loving traveling. So I said, yeah, Dubai jaake dekh ke aayenge kya hai? And I'll roam around Middle East. If nothing else, right? Who cares? So I did it. And I ended up there. Long story short, on the last day of my internship, I had a farewell party and I got my stipend. My first stipend in my life was 15,000 euros. Do the maths, 3 months of work, 12 lakh rupees. Okay. On today's currency. Back then in 2008, it's at least worth, if not anything, a 40 lakh rupee currency, right? So just think about it. Imagine you go in, you put all out, and I'd kill myself those 3 months to get that money. Right. But essentially what I did was, once I had that money, I went to Just Kawali. Okay. And I took my whole office and I said, ask the party correct. Right. Because also with that, I got my first job offer. So I was the first student to be placed in campus. One of the first, I think first 5 or 6. I had a job with this company, McKinsey spin-off. I was happy. And they'd given me a very fancy salary to start off. And I had the super stipend. All I was looking at was a nice evening party. So we partied hard in Dubai that weekend. It's a great place. And I enjoyed life. Immediately after I got my job, and I was working in Egypt when another crisis happened, right? And the crisis in Egypt was I don't know if you know Arab Spring, the Egyptian revolution, when a lot of war happened, etc., etc. So I was there. My office was on this place called Tahrir Square, and my office was burnt. So the bank was burnt. I've seen 800 people die. I've run for my life. I've hidden in a hotel. A guy next to me was shot. It could have been me, right? All that I've seen in the space of 2 days. And then the bank said, there is no consulting project, go back home. But my boss and me, we were crazy people. So my boss was crazier than me. So he said, Varun, we should stay back and help our clients. So we said, okay. We were the first bank to restart in Egypt after war in 21 days. Because we restarted, we got a great recognition from the regulator. And that was my second big crisis in my life, right? And I realized very quickly then, in this first one, I thought I was lucky. In the second one, I realized there's an art, right? There's an art of succeeding. And there's an art of working and putting your head down and finding comfort. And by then I started to speak a bit of Arabic. And for the first time, I realized being brown and dark can be helpful. So while everybody was looking for a foreigner to kill, here I was running around and I could speak a bit of Arabic. So I started learning. And back then I had a lot of hair. Okay. These days my hairstyle is changing, as you can all figure. Okay. It happens. Okay. And so I was in this very nice way that I was in Egypt and I used to look fairly Egyptian. And whenever somebody would come saying, hey, where are you from? I say, I speak in Arabic. Right. And so they were cool, and they would criticize the French and they would criticize the Americans, and they would be out carrying guns. This is a guy with a real gun in his hand, right? It's like a war zone. So it's kind of interesting for me, and eventually we did well. On the last day, I was 31 by then, or 30, I forgot. So on the last day of my consulting project, the CEO of BNP Paribas came to me. It happens to be my organization for the next 8 years, and said something to me. He said, Varun, look, you're 30. I want to give you a job offer. I said, yes, sir. So he gave me a job offer when I was 31 to be to be deputy CEO of the bank, head of retail banking, head of private banking, SME banking, and a board member. And my mouth was this big, right? Like I was like super happy saying, "Arey yaar, main 30 ka hu, aap itni sari mujhe cheezein bol rahe ho." And he said, "Do you have any questions?" I said, "Sure." He spoke for 5 minutes, and in the end, I had only one question. I said, "So what will my business card look like?" I imagine, because I was so overwhelmed in my mind, and I said, "Hey," he said, "You write whatever you want." I said, "Can I write board member?" And in my mind was Leonardo DiCaprio walking in the sexy suit inside a boardroom and a glass of coffee and a file. I had lived that life, I'd earned for it, and that had happened. And so it was kind of fantastic to get that opportunity. So I said yes to the job. So here I was at 31, managing an important bank in Egypt with a team of over 2,000 people. I ran it for a while. I sold the bank, then I moved to Paris. In Paris, I was managing about 16 different banks and about 40,000 people, all the way from America to China to Poland, Ukraine, Turkey, Morocco. I'll give you an example of a few projects I did there. I think it's more useful for you. I launched a digital bank in Europe. And when I say I, by the way, you don't do it yourself. You're always in a team, right? You can't do anything yourself alone, ever. Okay, nahi hota hai. So you need people around you to work together. So I did that with a bunch of people. We launched a bank called Hello Bank. Look it up. We launched a digital bank in China called Bank Nihao or Hi Bank. So I got my Chinese ambitions fulfilled. And then we launched a bank in America. We bought a bank in Poland. I had to fire 3,000 people in Ukraine when Russia took over Crimea. So by then, I had figured that I was great at getting into the worst jobs and the most challenging jobs and the most tough projects. So I would not go for the most glamorous big jobs. I would go for the toughest ones and I would do a great job. And with time, it became kind of a habit for my CEO to say, hey, Ukraine में problem हो रहा है. Russia has attacked Crimea. It's like imagine Pakistan attacks and takes away Gujarat. Like that, Russia attacked part of Ukraine and took it away. Right now, I have to go and fix the bank, and we have a bank with 11,000 people there. Right. So how do you do it? And you have 30 days to do it. Right. So that's kind of very interesting and very cool. Right. So I got to be known for that. And then eventually, it was 2015. I got bored in Paris. And Mr. Modi was running around with his jacket, and India shining was happening. Everybody was wanting to talk about India, and I came back to India to buy this company called Sharekhan. Okay, another day, another time when I'm in gym. By the way, I'm living in Goa these days, right? So, whenever your school opens up, I'm at Asagaon. Whenever your school opens up, I'll be happy to come over. And another day, another time, we'll talk about Sharekhan. But it's a great movie in its own self. I spent 18 months trying to buy that company. It's an important Indian company in the equity brokerage space. I lost the deal 3, 4, 5 times. There was a crisis in between. A lot of shit happened. But at the end of it, I realized by then I'd kind of mastered how to manage a crisis. I'd kind of mastered what I could do well. I'd also mastered how to work with people, right? Not an expert, but I knew what to do and I knew what not to do. And I could ask for help. So eventually we managed to buy Sharekhan. I was on the board of that company. It was my first individual deal. I always wanted to be an investment banker. So if you rewind my life back to 2008, where I wanted to, do this investment banking job with Goldman Sachs, Lehman Brothers, the whole idea was how fun is it to buy a company? And here I was back in 2015 buying my own company. I was 35 and I bought Sharekhan. It was a deal for 2,200 crores, fantastic opportunity. I got it. I felt very happy for it. The adrenaline of buying a company and opening a champagne bottle, nothing beats it. Okay, it's just fantastic. तुम्हें लगता है तुम भगवान हो, but actually हो नहीं. Very quickly next day you realize that you're an employee, right? So it's again good fun, but the 30 seconds of fun is just great. Okay, sorry, the 30 seconds of fun is just great. You feel happy. I did that. Then I was on the board for about 3 years, and I wanted to do my own startup for BNP Paribas. So I was finishing 8 years by then, and then I was launching a lending company, an NBFC for BNP Paribas in India. When one day I got a call from Paris saying, hey, Varun, you've hired 100 people. And I was 30 days from launch. So I'd worked for a year and a half on the project. But we need you to shut it down. We are promoting you to become a CEO in Europe. But this project we don't like. We don't like this Indian business anymore because that time IL&FS crisis had happened. Okay, so there's a liquidity crisis, a big one in India. And so there's no money to lend. And so they said, we don't like it. I tried to reason with them saying, hey, buddy, I made you $1 billion over the last 8 years. The least you could do is give me 10 to run my own shop, right? And I will see this through the crisis. I've managed this before. It's easy for me. But they didn't trust. They said, no, you're becoming CEO of a very large bank back in Europe. Come back. But fire all these people before you do clean shop. And so I said, no. And that's the time I stood for my own self. And I was turning 40 and I said, hey, I want to do something of my own. So I told them, I said, I need 3 months. I will sell myself. So I resigned and I sell myself. They said, no, we don't want you to resign. But I said, no. You made your mind, time to make mine up, right? I took a hard decision, resigned, got going. I sold my company to Oppo. Okay, so this is Oppo, OnePlus, Realme, Vivo. Now, funnily, and I'm going to try and connect the dots for you. 2013, when I launched a bank in China, I'd had dinner with this girl back in China and another guy. And, they were all bank employees. So casual office dinner, nothing else. All of us got together. We had dinner. We spoke about life. We spoke about what we wanted to do. And coincidentally, when I wanted to sell the bank, I was writing to different investment bankers. One of them happens to be her. And she went and told the Oppo founder, if there's one guy I would trust blindly with my own money, it's Varun. Please go ahead and invest. And so here I was with an idea with a paper. And so we launched Oppo Financial Services both in China and in India together with a charter, with an agreement. And OnePlus is a cool company. So I worked with them for a year and 3 months. I was supposed to work with them for life. But essentially, when I joined them, I had agreed I wanted independence. So I was tired of the French. Yeah, the 8 years I was an employee, I was doing everything, but the shots get taken by somebody else. And by then I was a bit more senior, so I could also negotiate better. So I went to the Chinese and said, look, I'll set this up for you. I'll do well. But if I don't do well, fire me. But if I do well, I don't want a lot of control on my head. I want to be free. And in the 12th month, we started making profit for a startup. Okay, both in India and China. And that's not a joke, right? These are large companies. When you start to make a profit in 12 months' time, you've done something right. So my team was fantastic. We did a great job. But the Chinese immediately sent a lot of people, and I had a lot of disagreements on how to run the business. I said, at least the French were serving champagne and oysters and nice things. By the way, sorry, I have to rewind a bit back. Till 1998, no, till 2004, as pure vegetarian. Today, I do beef, snake, anything else that you want. Okay, humans are pending. Right, but and why do I say that? I think it's so important to change along the way. Right, don't get stuck to your मुझे बोला गया है मैं ऐसे ही पैदा हुआ हूँ जिस दिन मैं पैदा हुआ था मुझे चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट बनना था उसके बाद मुझे बोला गया मैं मशीन लर्निंग 3 साल की उम्र में करूंगा तो मैं बस दैट्स माय लाइफ राइट एंड आई हैव डिसाइडेड that this is my life and anything else is out of the way. Don't do that to yourself because you don't know what's coming, right? And most of my business deals, important transactions have happened either over beer, coffee. My most important recruitments have happened over beer, coffee, wine. Okay, so nothing formally good happens. Big things don't happen at office. Big things happen in a casual setting because relationships are much more important. So here I was with Oppo, I'd resigned and Vijay called. Okay, we will again rewind back 2014. I wanted to, as BNP Paribas, we wanted to invest in Paytm. Bad deal that they didn't do it. Okay, 2014, Paytm was nothing. 2020, it is a company worth 16 billion US dollars. We were getting it for $1 billion. If we had done it, PNP would have been a bit richer. And I would have been in a different place. But I became Vijay Shekhar Sharma fanboy since 2014. I know him for 7 years. He just knows me for 6 months or 7 months. Okay. And so one day I got a call from him saying, hey, Varun, I've heard a lot about you. We have a job for you. Would you like to do it? And I said, job I don't want to do, but Vijay, I have a lot of respect for you. If you make this my own company, the answer is yes. And so it happened. And so here I'm at Paytm Money. I mean, it's I think a nice story, good segue. We are 2 minutes ahead of behind time. So next 8 minutes, I'm going to talk a bit about Paytm Money for you, and then maybe a bit about the future of fintech, right? And then we can open up for questions. But let's take a pause. That's my life for you. A lot of crisis. Men can cry. Men are allowed to cry, by the way. Okay. Women are blessed to cry because the emotion goes out. If you don't cry, you feel very internal. So I've had enough crisis. I've had enough bad days, enough nonsense. But there are 3 messages I want you to take till now and choose which one you like. Okay, but these are 3 things that I have learned in my life. First, look forward to a crisis. It's the single best thing that can happen to you. The world is in a washing machine. The world is running too fast. It will change. Every 2-3 years, you will have demonetization, crisis, VAT, GST, global crisis, war, name it, it will happen. If you don't know how to master it, you will fail. But if you know how to master it, you'll be the one guy. When everybody else was pessimistic during COVID, somebody took charge and I got a job. I'm a COVID Zoom recruit, okay, so to speak. Right? Imagine a CEO changing job during COVID is not easy. Junior loan, if you're struggling at a junior level, imagine my struggle, right? There are no jobs. So message 1, look forward to a crisis. Message 2, travel like crazy. Okay, there's no better MBA, learning, life than travel. Okay, and traveling is the single best thing that you could do. Okay, and I think message number 3 is don't fear to take the path less traveled. Right? Don't run the Indian rat race. Okay, especially for young people. At my time, maybe there was no choice. Today, choice is so much that if you still decide to do that, I think it's your error. Nobody else to blame. Okay. Yeah, so those are 3 important messages. Let's jump to Paytm. What is Paytm? I think the single most admired company for me. I admired it since 2014. So when I got the call, all I was thinking was me at Paytm. Right? There's nothing else to think. I think Vijay gets up in the morning to say, how can I change India? He's a fantastic guy, great story. He started in a small 100 square feet house in Aligarh, Today, he's worth 16 billion US dollars. It is India's largest startup, if you may. It's not a small company anymore. It's doing very well. We do about 40 million transactions a day. We have three large verticals. Vertical A is payments, in which we are number one in India, right? And what I like about Vijay is also willing to say, hey, look, I missed the bus. So for example, we missed the UPI bus. So we are number three in UPI in India, but we'll catch up, right? And it takes a lot of humility for somebody senior to say that, right? But we are by far India's number one payment company because we do PG, we do wallet, we do all those things. Our second businesses are internet businesses. So Paytm Insider, Paytm First Games is great, right? So they're Paytm bill payments, Paytm FASTag, if you know, right? 50% of all FASTags in India are run by Paytm, right? We have about a 40% market share in the payment gateway business. In the ticketing business, we are at about 25-30%. In the bill payment business, we are at about 50-60%. So in each business that we're fairly large. Okay, and the third business that we do, which is my business, is financial services. There you have lending, you have insurance and wealth. I'm the CEO of wealth, or Paytm Money, as you call it. These days, everybody loves the stock market. It goes up and down. It is swinging like a roller coaster. Okay, it's good fun. A lot of young people are investing. Everybody is talking about managing their own money. So Paytm Money today is India's largest digital wealth management platform. And I want you to think about the words I said. So digital, because for me, the consumer segment that I run behind is somebody who can do everything on his mobile phone by himself or herself. So there's no need of a person. And second, we're a wealth management platform. So we have 4 business lines. So we try and do everything. So whatever product any customer may need in the segment, irrespective of amount, all the way from 1 rupee to 100 crores, we manage. Okay, so we are India's by far largest company today. We are at 7 million users today. And I'll give you the example of 4 business lines because it'll help you understand how fintech is changing. Okay, so the first business line we do is mutual funds. Okay, in mutual funds, mostly, I don't know if you know all this, but there's something called regular mutual fund and there's something called direct mutual fund. A regular mutual fund essentially is, let's say you invest 100 rupees, you're supposed to pay about 2% out as commission every year for the rest of your life on your assets under management. So 1% you pay to the AMC, so somebody like ICICI Prudential, and 1% you pay to the distributor. Hold on a second, guys, hold on. Sorry, my cook started cooking lunch and you can hear the pressure cooker, right? Work from home issues, but yeah. So yeah, so I was telling you, so if you look at regular mutual funds, you pay 1% to the AMC and then you pay 1% to your distributor. So the guy who came to your home to take a signature, you pay him 1%, or the bank that you invested through, 1% for the rest of your life. Now, your mathematical students, imagine 10 lakh rupees is your investment amount. And over the next 40 years, you have to pay somebody 1% for the one signature they took from you in year 0. Okay, I think that is unfair. So Paytm Money therefore launched a product called Direct Mutual Fund, essentially where our commission of 1% is not there anymore. That 1% is given back to the distributor, to the customer. So you get it. Okay, so you still pay the 1% to the AMC, but you don't pay us. Now, because we did that, we also what we did was, and that's great for a consumer, right? So imagine over 40 years, 30 years, 1% of that is about double your investment because your investment also grows, right? We were the first ones to do it. When we did it, the whole market was shocked that why would you tell the consumer what is right? We were like, वो तो सही है ना, customer को तो सही बोलोगे, क्यों नहीं बोलोगे? We said, नहीं, but क्यों बोलोगे? आप पैसा कैसे कमाओगे? We said that we'll figure out later. But the model is that, right? So we started direct mutual funds. What I'm proud to tell you, we also did a second small change on the product. Everybody was running behind 1,000 rupee customers, 5,000, 100,000 crores. We said the minimum amount of entry is 100 rupees for SIP. And the industry was shocked. Industry said, no way, but we did it. And today, as we speak, what makes me proud is not that we are India's first mutual fund distributor. What makes me proud is I have one customer from 99% of all PIN codes in India. Right? So that is true financial inclusion. Because Vijay is, one day I asked Vijay, I said, Vijay, why are you investing so much behind FASTag? It doesn't make us money. And Vijay said something beautiful. He said, यार वरुण मैं यूरोप जाता हूँ, अमेरिका जाता हूँ, वहां ना लोग टोल बूथ पे खड़े होके झगड़ा नहीं करते, हॉर्न नहीं बजाते, कैश के लिए वेट नहीं करते. They just drive through. I want to bring the same happiness on every Indian face. Right? Why should we not have the same happiness? I said, sure, Vijay, but somebody has to put the money. He said, hey, no, we are making profit elsewhere, we'll put. Because only when we can make an Indian happy, when we can be relevant to an Indian consumer, and we are honest and transparent about it and truthful, we will succeed in the long run. I said, yeah, makes sense. Right? So direct mutual fund, fantastic story, great story of how you can innovate product to do something fantastic. Second story, even better, digital gold. Okay. most of us buy gold, right? India is the world's largest gold consuming country. So Vijay said, hey, let's take gold digital. So today on Paytm Money, you can go and buy gold from 1 rupee to 1 crore. It takes one click to buy. The gold is stored securely. It is 24 karat. It doesn't feel like the gold chain you bought 2 years back. That after 2 years you're worried ये gold ही खरीदा था ना मैं, right? And you're worried कि घर पे मैं छुट्टी जा रहा हूँ कहाँ रखूंगा अपना सोना, right? Here the sona is in an app, right? So you can actually sleep. So we did that, and everybody criticized us saying, no, 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 you can't sell gold digitally. Which Indian will buy a gold on an app? It is the stupidest product. It's completely useless. Today we have 62 million consumers, okay, buying digital gold on the app. We've transacted 5,500 kilos of gold. And to give you a number that you will be able to appreciate and compare is on Diwali this year, 2020, in 2 days of sales, we did more than Tanishq. Okay, now that's an important number if you think about gold, right, across India. And what makes me really happy is 3 in the morning, somebody is buying 5 rupees worth of gold because that's his or her savings for the day, right? And he or she is managing his or her money actively. So that's our second product. Our third product, which we very recently launched, is equity broking, right? Is equity broking. All of you manage your money, I hope, actively. I hope all of you have stock broking accounts. I hope all of you have already bought your first stock. If you haven't, please change it at the end of this call. One of the first things to do is go do that, because at your age, if you're not managing money, then something is really wrong, right? Something is really wrong with your future. Okay, but if you can manage your money yourself, it's great. So we have launched an equity brokerage firm about 6 months back. That's the thing I did myself. We came into the market and everybody at the market was priced at 100 rupees a trade. If you're a full service broker, if you're a discount broker, you're priced at 20 rupees a trade. We came into the market and said we are priced at 10 rupees a trade. Okay, so the whole market again is standing up and saying, Varun Sridhar pagal hai, Vijay Shekhar Sharma pagal hai, right? These guys are going to disrupt the whole of India again. But we are very happy, and I'll explain to you why and how we've been able to do it and what's changing in the fintech world. Normally, the biggest broker size to manage Share Khan, we had about 6,000 people there, right? At Paytm Money, my team size is 350. Okay, I manage 7 million customers. Share Khan manages 2 million customers. Okay, now you think about it and you say, hey, how the hell do you do it, right? The reason we do it is 280 people of my team are tech and data scientists, right? So we are a very, very high-end technology firm, which thinks that everything can be automated, everything can be put on an app. Let's automate it relentlessly. Let's get a great product out there, right? So what we then did is once you automate and you bring your cost down, you pass the benefit back to the customer instead of making more profit. So when somebody asks us saying, how are you able to make money at 10 rupees? I said, hey, we launched 6 months back and I'll give you a number. Just yesterday was a great day. We did a turnover of 8,000 crores, right? And I'm a 6-month-old brokerage business who's just started. So to do $1 billion turnover, I'm still only 1% of India. But in 6 months, nobody has ever hit 1% market share. Okay, and we have, and we've done zero marketing, right? So kind of, I think we start to get going on this whole story of fintech, right? So I'm going to stop there. Paytm is a great company. What I love about Paytm is the entrepreneurship, right? It's fantastic. I enjoy it. I think a lot of young people enjoy it. But maybe my last 2 cents of advice and 3 more minutes, and then we open up for questions. So you can shoot your questions in, is as follows. The world that I entered is different. So all that I said to you, forget it. All that I spoke for the last 45 minutes is nonsense. Okay, don't follow Varun Sridhar. What has changed? What has changed in India is the world of startups, right? So my request to you, my suggestion to you is do 2 things going forward. Join a startup because it's way, way better at work. Don't join a large company. Join a startup with 4 people. Struggle, fail, get fired. Okay, do that 3-4 times. You'll be much better off. You're all young. Up to your age of 30, experiment a bit. Okay, go take the riskiest job because India is changing. At my time, there was no startup. At my time, if you didn't work in an MNC, shaadi nahi hui, right? At my time, if you don't do an MNC, loan nahi milega. Your parents will anyway would have kicked you out if you're not there, right? Today, if you go and work in a startup, I think it's fantastic. It's the life, right? So if I was you, I would start thinking, saying, hey, what can I do either on my own or what can I do as joining a young startup? But I wouldn't go for all these big jobs, big internships. None of them make sense. Okay, just dump all of them and go forward to live your life. So one big message. Second big message, I think on my side is travel. Okay, travel every weekend, travel every second, spend money only on one thing in your life, travel. Okay, because till you're 30, There's no better MBA, right? There's no better data science program. None of that exists. Carry a laptop, get connected somewhere online, learn something. If you want to code with somebody and understand the latest ML algorithm, go to Israel. Every second person there is a great data scientist, right? Go to Poland, go to Warsaw, go to San Francisco, meet friends, meet people, do couch surfing, work in Starbucks. It pays you $8 an hour. Work in McDonald's. There's no shame in that, right? And enjoy your life, because if you don't do that, you're missing the single best opportunity that's in front of you. The world is changing, right? And in a changing world, if you can take care of the disruption, you'll do very well, right? So I'm going to stop there. But it's a pleasure to talk monologue, but I'll wait for questions. I know you have a panel starting at 12, so maybe we can take 5, 6, 7, 8 questions if you have any. Otherwise, I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you very much for the talk. That was indeed very different and motivational for all of us. And we also have a few questions which are there in the chat. I'll take them one by one and you can answer them. So the first is Prakhar is saying that suppose there comes a time when you have several options to choose from in a situation, but none of them seem sufficient to meet your goal. So how do you decide which option to follow?
Yeah. So first of all, there should never be, there comes a time, Prakhar, very good question. You say, suppose there comes a time. I would always tell you, it has to be always your situation that you have options. Because if you don't have options, something is wrong. Kuch to gadbad hai life mein, right? So remember, if you don't have any option, something is definitely wrong. Okay, so look forward to if you don't have options, that's step one of your questions. I'm splitting your question into parts. Okay. Suppose there comes a time when you have several options. I think that's normal. That is business as usual. You have to be in that normal state of mind. You have to have your plan A, plan B, plan C ready. Always. Every single thing. Like if you go to eat in a restaurant, you want to make sure that you have A restaurant, B restaurant. Right? Dimag pe chalta hai, Italian, khao, Japanese, what should I do? If you go to a party, if you want a friend, okay, if you want a relationship, every time you're thinking, right? And you're thinking, and that allows you to choose the right thing. Because otherwise you don't know what you're doing, especially professionally. I think it's even more important that you know what you're doing, right? So now nothing will ever meet everything. Okay, second golden rule, if something meets everything, then your assessment is wrong. Kuch to gadbad, right? Something is again wrong. So nothing should ever meet everything. I think every time, and it works differently on different periods of your life. I think between 20 and 30, the most riskiest, the option that everybody else, so if you poll 20 people, all 20 of them, if they tell you to go in one direction, that you should definitely not do. Okay, then you should do the opposite one. But I think the riskiest one, where the unknown is the highest, which looks a bit challenging, you should do. But I think when you do all of this, your principles should be intact, right? Like everybody should have their principles. Like my principle was having fun traveling. So I would do, why did I take the job in Paris? Because they told me that you could travel across the world. Okay, I had a job elsewhere. Why did I take the job back in India? I wanted to come back to India and travel again, right? For me, I had my principles saying freedom, entrepreneurship, travel. Money was never important, right? So when things like that happen, so I think, when you have three options, one of the small tricks I use is I always write down on pen and paper pros and cons. Most people don't even do that. It's a very basic thing. But let's say you have admission to 3 colleges. I actually write down. And when I went to Bakoni, my best friend was going to NUS Singapore. And I went to NUS Singapore almost to get admitted. I saw so many people there who I knew. So I decided never to go there. Okay, no, you would say, Varun, you're antisocial. I'm absolutely opposite of antisocial if you meet me in real life, right? So, and I would invite you to meet me in real life, right? And you're in my favorite state. So in any case, I'm going to come. So I would urge you to start thinking, saying, hey, what is it that others would not do? Where is their highest risk? Because today you're from a premium school in India, you're brainy kids. Most probably you all have a 2-bedroom house to sleep in. Most probably, if you really are desperate, your parents will give you food money or your friends will. So honestly, if you have all that comfort, I didn't have none of that. If you have that comfort, why would you not take a risk? It's like you're going to a circus. Instead of seeing the circus from outside and saying, wow, what a great artist. If somebody puts a net for you, right, please go ahead and walk. Kuch nahi hoega, upar se niche giroge. Right? And the net, or maza bhi aayega, you'll jump in the net and bounce. It's cool. Right? Just think about it. So Prakhar, my answer to you is there's no greater thing than gut. Write down pros, write down cons, choose the path less traveled, and and have your options ready. Have options. the biggest mistake we make is we don't have options. So the first job you get, that's why I hate Indian schools. Day zero में आपको जो पहली नौकरी मिल गई गलती से, so you're out of the placement process, right? So first of all, if I was you in today's life, I would not participate in any placement process. I think it's the single worst thing that runs in India. Okay, if you do decide to participate in a placement process, it's unfortunate that you get that one company and you get signed up for it, right? But that's the truth. So that's how it runs, and I personally don't like it in today's context. 20 years back, very relevant. At my time, if you didn't do that, it was impossible. But today, it's a different world. I hope I answered your question, Prakar. If not, you can ask a follow-up.
No, sir, it was great. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. So we have another question from Vatsala. She's asking, as a student setting out into workforce, what is the best way to create wealth out of the money that we earn?
Oh, cool question. Hey, Vatsala. What is the best way? So the first thing I would do, actually, the reason I was late today is we are running a class called Foundation Masterclass, where we are teaching people that, hey, and it's a 2-day session starting today all the way till tomorrow. What we're teaching people there is all asset classes, from mutual funds to ETF to equity to SIP to REITs, everything. So in 8 hours of learning, you get, let's say, you get your feet wet in everything. And then on Monday, we are expecting people to go buy their first ETF, buy their first SIP. I would not think too much, Vatsala. You obviously are smart if you ask that question and you have the hunger in your stomach to ask that question. It already makes me super happy, because I would love in India the day women can manage their own money and not ask Papa मैं ये कर दूं, भैया मैं ये कर दूं, dear husband मैं ये कर दूं, या dear boyfriend मैं ये कर दूं, right? I think the day India changes from there, India will anyway have gone 1,000 steps ahead. And I'm happy you asked that, Vatsala. What I would do is as follows. Monday morning, I would open a wealth management account. It's simple, DIY, cheap. Then I don't know how much savings you have, but I'm sure you have 2,000 rupees. If you don't, sell one of your clothes, dresses, OLX works, okay, or change your phone and buy a cheaper phone. Do whatever. I'm sure you have 5,000 rupees worth of assets, or 2,000 or 3,000. Get your money from your parents. Once you get it, buy one asset class of each type. Okay, so buy one mutual fund, buy one ETF, buy one SIP, buy one stock yourself with whatever money you have, and you can. Even if you have 1,000 rupees, you can do all of this today in India, right? So you go to something like Paytm Money, or you go anywhere you like. I really don't care where you go, but go and do this. Then start learning. Okay, invest. We produce in India the best data scientists, architects, doctors, engineers. But you ask a 35-year-old guy, how do you invest 500 rupees? He or she doesn't know, because unfortunately in gym they teach you how to earn, but they don't teach you how to manage your own money. Indian education system has a fundamental big flaw. They make you all run behind money, including me, but they don't teach you how to manage it once you have it. So it's the stupidest paradox that exists today. How do you solve that paradox, right? You solve it by learning. So invest in time. There are enough learning resources online, read blogs, follow your wealth management platform. They'll help you learn, right? So, like in Paytm Money, I think today we have about 400 young students learning. They're investing 8 hours of their time. Monday morning, I'm sure they'll make more money, right? Because they'll understand the basic tips. They'll know what to do. So my suggestion to you is get started on Monday morning. Today is Saturday. Open your account Saturday, Sunday. Whatever small money you have, Monday do it. Then send me a LinkedIn photo saying, Varun, मैंने कर दिया, अब आगे बताओ क्या करना. उसके बाद I will help you. Then I will start sending you resources. Okay. And I'm very happy to help you. You'll have my WhatsApp number. You can write to me. Right. I'm legally not allowed to give advice to anybody on what to do. But yeah, take your first step. Most people just struggle to take the first step. Right. And then if you do that, you will succeed in life. It's a great thought. I love your question.
Yeah, so that's really great, and we'll try and follow this what we have said. So we'll take one last question, which has come from Pranav. He's asking, how does one maintain their cool during a crisis, and what keeps you motivated while getting out of a crisis?
Well, first thing, you can't maintain your cool during a crisis. Okay. Imagine, I don't know how many of you have done skydiving or deep sea diving. I do both. I also run marathons. I play tennis. I don't know what all you do, but sports is a great example. So I was, when you go deep sea diving, first 5 minutes, you're in crisis. You're like, oh, pani aayega, nahi aayega, saans aayegi, nahi aayegi. You have to let your body test. When you're jumping from the sky, the biggest question, parachute khulega, nahi khulega. Otherwise, have I given somebody in my life my bank PIN number or not? Right? That's the first thought in your mind. Okay, so, but when you dive, when you do these things, there's no way you feel comfortable. So any crisis will make you feel uncomfortable. Accept that. Don't try and fight fear, because fear is going to be there. And fear is natural and fear is great. Okay, when you go for an interview and you're not nervous, you'll never make it in any case. Okay, because when you're nervous, your body releases some hormones scientifically, which allow you to think differently. Okay, so my suggestion to you is look forward when you're in a crisis saying, hey, fear has to happen. Now the question is, how do you conquer that fear? You conquer fear, or you conquer a crisis, or you make most of a crisis by doing small baby steps. Okay, so you can't revolutionize the world. So for example, let's say right before COVID, I knew I didn't want my Oppo job anymore and I needed to find a job. Deep crisis for me. Okay, personal crisis. How do I do it? When you're running a bankrupt company in Egypt, how do you turn it around? Crisis. The first thing people look forward to is that one guy who has a positive plan. 99% people are negative. Okay, COVID mein naukri nahi milega, COVID mein internship nahi milega. You can either surround yourself with those people or you can surround yourself with a bit neutral people saying, हाँ यार issue है, but क्यों ना कुछ करें? Right? Why can't we do something else? Time ho gaya, right? So you'll have to find your positive set of people, then make a small group and start to make a small roadmap saying, how will I restructure this company in the next 3 months? How will I find a job in the next 4 months? What will I do? Write down your steps, then get it going. So I think there's not much more than first accepting that a crisis is going to be bad, right? So you need to make adjustments. Most people say, yeah, crisis or no crisis, I am the king. I will never wear a mask. Okay, thank you. See you in hospital, right? That's stupidity. Okay, but if a crisis hits you, like COVID has hit all of you, right? How do you manage during COVID? Most people are nervous. Most people are saying you'll not get internships. But if I was you during this time, you've got so much spare time to write that beautiful mail message to that CEO of that young startup saying, hey, this is what I can solve for you. This is my 10-page PPT. This is what I will do for you. Write it to 100 different people. Somebody will call you. If they don't call you, land up at their office in Koramangala in Bangalore. Okay, और वहाँ बाहर tent लगा के बैठ जाओ, saying I sent you this mail on this such and such date. You know, I am really passionate to join your company. Why are you not giving me a chance to meet you, right? And trust me, out of the 100, somebody will listen to you. But that is a planned effort. You can't just keep writing LinkedIn messages, copy pasting and sending, and you consider that effort to get out of crisis. It doesn't work, right? So think about it. I'll give you an example. I get in a day 150 internship applications. Okay, and I reply to every single LinkedIn message on my own. I don't have a social media manager. So that's why I get late, because in a day I get these days 250 messages. So it's a lot, right? And I have to reply. But most of my interns and final students I've taken from LinkedIn, because there'll be this one odd guy or girl who will send you this very beautiful PPT saying, sir, I've done all the research on Paytm Money. These are my 3 ideas. And the idea is honestly very foolish because either we've thought of it or the person from outside in is thinking. But I love the fact that the person made the effort. Right, and the person has done the hard work and it is real. It's not another copy-paste application from just another school. Right, and so I think as you look forward to a crisis, look forward to what you can do differently. Get people around you who are not positive, because a positive guy is mostly foolish, but somebody who's not very pessimistic as well. Somebody in between who's saying, "Acha, हाँ यार, crisis है, cost cutting करना है तो करना है, but चलो मिलके करते हैं, let's think how do we take this forward." Yeah. So that's how I would manage it. But don't fear it. Most people say, no, I'm not afraid of crisis. So I'm shit afraid, man. Every time a crisis, I've been jumped from a plane 10,000 feet high and we'll have this conversation. Are you afraid or not? Right.
Thank you, sir. I hope, Pranav, that answers your question. And with this, we come to an end of this session. On behalf of Parigyan and GIM, sir, we would like to thank you a lot. This session was really interesting and motivating, and I think a very good way to start our weekend on a Saturday morning. And thank you for being with us once again, because we know how tied up your schedule is, but still you managed to be with us for this 1 hour. It has been a great learning experience, and I hope people will take some good lessons from what you have said and apply it in their real life as well. So thank you very much, sir.
No, thank you. I've left my WhatsApp number. Please don't call me. I don't take calls, but you can WhatsApp definitely. And I'll be very happy to reply to you, or you can add me on LinkedIn, or like I said. Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Best of luck to all of you, and see you on campus one day. I'll drive. Okay. See you.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Bye.